Why get a contractor's license? What are the minimum qualifications you'll need to get a license, and what credits you might qualify for? We're going to talk about the types of business entities, the different CSLB license classifications. We will spend a lot of time giving you tips to help fill out your applications, including how to demonstrate your work experience to meet minimum qualifications. We're going to talk about fingerprint requirements for a criminal background check, and we will help you get ready for your exam or exams that you'll need to pass in order to get your license. And finally, the other things you'll need to have in place before your license is issued, things like bond and insurance.
First, today we will take a look at who needs a license. Here in California, a state contractor's license is needed for all construction projects priced at $500 or more. That total includes both labor and materials. The law doesn't let you break down a project into $499 pieces. It's the entire project. Also, you can charge an hourly rate to get around the $500 threshold. If the hourly cost times the number of hours for the job totals $500 or more, you need a contractor license. So what is the definition of a contractor? The definition comes from the state's Business and Professions Code. In this case, it's section 7026.1. We have got the link to that code at the top of the page if you download the presentation. I will read the entire code, but pay special attention to the part we underline. A contractor is any person, consultant to an owner building, firm, association, organization, partnership, business trust, corporation, or company who or which undertakes, offers to undertake, proposes to have the capacity to undertake, or submits a bid to construct any building or home improvement project or part thereof. In other words, you don't have to do the work to break the law. You must have a contractor's license just to advertise that you can do the construction work, or even to give a bid for a construction job if the bid totals $500 or more.
So you may be asking yourself, why should you get a contractor's license? Here are a few good reasons. First, you can take pride in being a licensed professional. It shows you've taken the steps to get licensed and that you are serious about your career choice. It allows you to make valuable contributions to your local community. Unlicensed contractors must operate in the shadows and cannot help make their community a better place to live. Next, it allows you to get paid for the work that you do. There is a value to the work done by a licensed professional. Being licensed also gives you legal options if customers don't pay you. Unlicensed contractors do not have a legal right to take someone to court to get paid because the work required a license and they weren't licensed to do the work in the first place. Also, you would be able to use the mechanic lien laws. Next, you don't have to look over your shoulder constantly for fear of getting caught. Contracting without a valid California license can lead to misdemeanor charges. Those caught face a first offense sentence of up to 6 months in jail and/or a $5,000 fine, and potential administrative fines anywhere in between $200 to $15,000. Subsequent violations can result in increased criminal penalties and fines. In addition, you may face felony charges if you contract without a license when one is required in a state or federally declared disaster area, or if you try to pass yourself off as a licensed contractor by illegally using a license number. Remember, there are no educational requirements to get a license. Also, you do not have to go to a license preparation school to get your contractor's license.
So, what do you need to get your license? First, it is important to understand that CSLB does not license individuals. We license companies or businesses, also called entities. Many entities are one-person operation, but note that every entity, even a one-person operation, must have a qualifier. That's someone who has the minimum experience and is responsible for the operations of the company. Here is the short list of minimum qualifications you will need. You must be at least 18 years old, You must have either a valid social security number or valid individual taxpayer identification number, ITIN. You can qualify the license in one or two ways. First, you can qualify the license by having at least 4 years experience within the last 10 years as a journeyperson, foreperson, supervising employee, or contractor in the trade being applied for. Or you can also get a qualifier for the license who has that required experience. We will spend a lot of time talking about how you can demonstrate your experience on your application in a few minutes.
It may be possible for you to substitute your education, technical training, and apprenticeship training for some of the required experience. We tend to get a lot of questions on this. First, we want to be very clear. CSLB cannot prejudge your experience. Due to the number of applications we receive and process every month, we don't have the staff time that would be needed to prejudge your experience. We can only review your documents after you apply for your license. Next, to get education credit, the work must be directly related to the work you will be doing as a contractor. Your education cannot be substituted for more than 3 years or 36 months of the required experience, meaning you will need to have at least 1 year of practical experience if you get the full 36 months of educational credit. To apply for education credit, you must provide CSLB written documentation. That means we need a copy of your apprenticeship program completion certificate or an official technical school or college transcript. When you get those transcripts sent to you, you do not want to open the envelope. You want to leave it sealed and include it with your CSLB application packet. Note that high school courses will not earn you any credit towards your contractor's license.
If you are looking to get education credit to meet the 4 years or 48 months of experience, you will need to get your license. This is the most important slide of this entire workshop. This is the kind of credit you can expect to receive for your education. Note that for some areas, we are only giving you averages, or you will see that your credit will be determined on a case-by-case basis. We are not going to be able to give you any more guidance than what you see on this slide. So our best advice is do not rely on the combination of your experience and education credits to barely hit the 4-year experience mark. There is always the real possibility you will not get as much education credit as you were hoping. Let's go through the chart from the most credit you can get to the list. The most education credit you can get is for a Bachelor of Science degree in construction management. That degree will get you the full 36 months of credit. Next is master's or bachelor's degree in a business admin or a law degree. Any one of those will get you 24 months of credit. An associate degree in science, construction management will get you 18 months credit. A bachelor's degree in some major, in other majors will get you an average of 18 months credit. An associate degree in a major besides construction management will get you an average of 6 months credit. Credit for individual college classes are given on case-by-case basis, usually with a maximum of 6 months credit. Apprentice completion certificates will get you 24 to 36 months, depending on the classification of the program. For example, a sheet metal worker apprenticeship gets you 24 months credit if you're applying for C20 or C43, sheet metal classifications. A lineman apprenticeship gets you 36 months in C7 low voltage and C10 electrical classification only. If you have transcripts for other technical training you have taken, you might be able to get some minimal credit as well. Again, don't use your education credits to try and squeeze by the 4-year or 48-month requirement.
If you served in the military, some of that service might count as well. On the bottom of the page, you'll see a bonus link to our CSLB Military Application Assistance Program, where you can learn more. The license qualifier also must pass 2 different exams. both taken on a computer at one of our CSLB test centers. One exam is on the California business and law, and the other is specific to the trade covered by the license. We also have limited specialty licenses which we are going to be discussing later. Those licenses only require that the qualifier take the law and business exam. As we mentioned, the qualifier is the one who must take and pass the required exams or qualify for a waiver. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the waiver, only to note that you might be able to request a waiver from taking one or both of our exams if very specific situations occur. We recommend that you look at the CSLB website for more information on those specific situations. We have included a bonus link at the bottom of the page. The qualifier must also undergo the criminal background check. We will go more into depth on that in just a few minutes. After the license is issued, the qualifier must be in position to exercise direct supervision and control of the company's operations. They are also responsible for all workmanship issues. It is also important to note here that if you're trying to get a B general building contractor license and you hire subcontractors to work under you, you are responsible as a project's prime contractor for the work that they do.
The next thing you are going to need to determine before applying for your license is which type of entity your business will be. There are 4 types. First is the sole ownership, where the owner or responsible managing employee may serve as the license qualifier. Just about 2/3 of the contracting businesses in California are sole ownerships. Second, a corporation, where either of the current officers designated as the responsible managing officer or the responsible managing employee may serve as qualifier. Just under 1/3 of our licenses are corporations. A distant third is a partnership, where either of the general partners or a responsible managing employee may serve as qualifier. That's 2% of our licenses. Finally, a limited liability company or LLC, where a responsible managing member, responsible managing manager, responsible managing officer, or responsible managing employee may serve as qualifier. About 1.5% of California construction companies are LLCs.
Now let's talk about license classifications. A contractor's license can include multiple classifications, although you must select one when filing your application. While there are more than 48 license classifications in California, they all fall under 3 distinct categories. There is a bonus link in our classifications list at the bottom of the screen. First is Class A, or General Engineering Contractors. These are contractors who deal with fixed works that require specialized engineering knowledge and skill. A contractors are the ones that build projects such as freeways, skyscrapers, and dams. Today, there are just over 19,000 A contractors in the state. Next is our Class B, or General Building Contractors. This is the largest class of contractors in California, with more than 133,000. B contractors have a principal business dealing with any structure built, being built, or to be built that requires as part of its construction at least 2 unrelated building trades or crafts. In other words, a B contractor shouldn't take a prime contract for any project involving trades other than framing or carpentry unless the prime contract requires at least 2 unrelated building trades other than framing or carpentry. There is no limitation on B contractors to stop them from taking on projects that only include framing or carpentry. The final class is C, or Specialty Contractors. These licenses are for construction work that requires special skill or whose principal contracting business involves the use of specialized building trades or crafts. Examples from this class include C10 electrical contractors, C20 HVAC contractors, C27 landscaping contractors, C33 plumbing contractors, C39 roofing contractors, C46 solar contractors, and C53 swimming pool contractors, just to name a few. There are also 30 limited specialty classes under the C61 classification. These include the C61/D49 Tree Services Limited class. More than 209,000 contractors hold a C license in California.
Here are the two forms you will need. On the left is the license application. On the right is the certification of work experience. You can get these forms on the CSLB website. There is your bonus link on the left side of the page, so be sure to download this presentation. We will give you a closer look at the different sections of these forms in a little later. Okay. Now let's break down the steps of application process. First, identify who will be the qualifier for your license. That person will be responsible for exercising direct supervision and control of the company. If you are using an RME or responsible managing employee as your qualifier, determine if he or she can qualify for an exam waiver. Be aware of companies you pay to connect you with a licensed qualifier. In some cases, these qualifiers are on a different part of the state and cannot exercise the direct supervision needed, or they aren't willing, or maybe even don't understand their role as a qualifier. Next, make sure you complete the correct application. There are two options. One, application for original contractor license, or two, application for original contractor license examination waiver 7065. We have got links to both at the bottom of the page.
The next step is determining your company name. Take a look at the application for examples. Some things to keep in mind. Your name cannot be misleading or imply that you qualify for a license classification other than what you are getting. For example, if you're going to apply for a C36 plumbing license, you cannot have company name of John Smith Plumbing Construction Heating and Drywall. Corporate and LLC names must match exactly the name registered with the California Secretary of State's office. The names of everyone under Secretary of State registration must be listed on your CSLB application. You can also use what's called the DBA, which stands for Doing Business As. The main thing to remember here is the DBA name cannot be misleading, and you must use that name in all advertising and on all of your contracts. Next, you'll want to get together your certifications to support your work experience. You should do this even if you apply for an exam waiver. Feel free to use multiple pages if necessary. Next, be sure to note if you are a military veteran. Some of your military service may be used to meet your 4 years of experience qualifications. Also, your application may be expedited through our Military Application Assistance Program. We mentioned that a few minutes ago. There is a bonus link at the bottom of the screen for more information on that program. To participate, you must have had an honorable discharge. Be sure to include a copy of your military DD-214 paperwork showing your honorable discharge with your application. The next couple of items are basic but very important. You're going to want to proofread for any missing information. Make sure you have provided an answer to all necessary fields. Second, don't forget to sign and date your application before mailing it in. Finally, determine if you need a special accommodation to take your exam. If you do, complete a request form and submit it with your application. We'll talk about the use of a translator a little later.
Next is a closer look at our fingerprint requirements, which are used for a criminal background check. This is a list of those who must submit a full set of fingerprints to CSLB, depending on the type of business entity. All applicants, each corporate officer, each partner, each owner, the responsible managing employee, all home improvement salespersons. If you are in California, you must submit fingerprints electronically with what's called live scan. You can get an updated list of the live scan locations around California, broken down by county, on the Attorney General's website. We have got the link here, or you can simply go to the Attorney General website and search for live scan. You will also see we have a bonus link at the bottom of the screen to the fingerprint information page on our CSLB website. If you are out of a state, it's going to be tough for you to get us your fingerprints. That's because you must submit hard copies of them the old-fashioned way. Those take anywhere between 3 and 6 months for the FBI and Department of Justice to process. When things settle down with COVID-19, you might want to consider traveling to California to get your electronic live scan done here.
So what happens if you have any criminal convictions? CSLB may deny your license for the following reasons. First, if your conviction is substantially related to the duties, functions, and qualifications of a contractor. Also, if your conviction involves fraud or a violent crime. There are other factors CSLB also considers. They are the nature and severity of the crimes, the amount of time that has passed since a conviction, and any evidence of rehabilitation that you submit to CSLB. CSLB evaluates felony criminal convictions within 7 years of the application date. So for applications filed this year, we would look back to 2013. For misdemeanor criminal convictions, we would look back 3 years from the application date, back to 2017. That's unless the convictions are for a violent felony, certain sexual crimes, or financial crimes related to construction. CSLB denies only 1% of the total applications we receive based on criminal convictions. You'll also note that the bonus link to our fingerprint information page.
Okay, along with the education credits we talked about earlier, this next section is probably the most important of the entire workshop and the part of the application that causes the most headaches for applicants. It is how you demonstrate your work experience on your application. Remember, the license qualifier needs 4 years or 48 months of experience within the past 10 years in the classification for which he or she is applying. That means at least 4 years of experience since 2010. The experience must be at least no less than a journeyman level or as a foreman, supervising employee, contractor, or owner builder. A journeyman is defined as an experienced worker who is fully qualified as opposed to a trainee and can perform trade without supervision, or one who has completed an apprenticeship program.
There's a limited amount of space on the application to show your certified work experience, so feel free to use additional pages if needed and simply attach at the end of the work experience form. Use as many certifications of work experience forms as you need to prove the required 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. Use a different form for each certifier. Remember to be as accurate as possible. Make sure that the person that is certifying your work describes the actual work that you performed and the dates in which you performed them. We will now be providing some examples of both good and unacceptable descriptions to demonstrate work experience. Do not copy and paste this information directly into your application. These are just examples.
At the top of this chart is the classification and the type of experience you are trying to demonstrate. This first example is journey person experience. The overall theme we will keep repeating is the more specific the description, the better. Note, the work experience form should be completed by your certifier, someone who has knowledge and observed your work experience for the classification you are applying for. That person does not have to be a licensed contractor.
Okay, so our first example is for the Class B general building contractor. The best type of description your certifier would use for journey person experience is to be very specific. Journey person experience must include hands-on work, like this here. Bob performed rough and finish carpentry, concrete forming and pours, roof-out plumbing and electrical, interior exterior painting, and flooring on residential homes. An unacceptable description would be something more generic like this: residential general building trades. For four-person experience, the description must include some hands-on work and/or supervisory work. Here's an example of the best type of description. Bob oversaw other staff at job sites performing rough and finish carpentry, concrete forming and pours, roof-out plumbing and electrical, interior-exterior painting, and flooring on residential homes. Again, an unacceptable description would be something very more generic, something like this: residential general building trades. For supervising employee experience, the description should include an explanation of how you arrived at a supervisor level. An example is, as a construction lead on multiple projects, Bob supervised rough and finish carpentry, concrete forming and pours, roof-out plumbing and electrical, interior-exterior painting, and flooring on residential homes. Again, something unacceptable would be something more generic like this: residential general building trades. For out-of-state contractors' experience, the description must include examples of work done that were either out of the state, military, on federal lands, or done for a government entity. Applicants can qualify as a journey person, a foreperson, or a supervising employee. A tip: please be specific about your duties and your employment circumstances. Our next example is for the C27 landscaping contractor. First, for experience at the journeyman level. The best type of description your certifier would use would be something like this: Jane performed landscape construction maintenance and installation of sprinklers, ground plants, low voltage lighting, ornamental yard art, concrete mow strips and pathways, and tree pruning. An unacceptable description would be something like this: gardening, yard maintenance, and planting. For a C27 landscaping contractor, the best work experience description for a foreperson would be something like this: Jane oversaw other staff at job sites performing landscape construction, maintenance and installation of sprinklers, ground plants, low voltage lighting, ornamental yard art, concrete mow strips and pathways, and tree pruning. An unacceptable description again would be something like gardening, yard maintenance, planting. For a C27 supervising employee, the description should include an explanation of how you arrived at the supervisor level. The best description would be, as a construction lead on multiple projects, Jane supervised landscape construction, maintenance, and installation of sprinklers, ground plants, low voltage lighting, ornamental yard art, concrete mow strips and pathways, and tree pruning. Unacceptable here for the supervising employee would be something like this: gardening, yard maintenance, and planting. Finally, for our out-of-state contractors, the same guidance that we showed you for general building contractors applies. Be sure to include examples of your out-of-state work, as well as for the military, work done on federal land, or for a government entity. Be sure to be specific when you describe your duties and employment circumstances. By law, CSLB must randomly review and verify all the information provided on at least 3% of the applications that we receive. The next 3 slides run down acceptable documentation you can use to support your work experience in the event that your application is selected and you are asked to provide additional documentation. The supporting documentation should not be mailed in with your application. You only need to provide this information if it's requested from a CSLB staff member. On the lower right of your screen, you'll see a link in the publication on our website, along with additional information on experience documentation. If you look at the chart, you can see that the first column is for documents you can use if you were employed by a licensed contractor. The second column is for documented experience if you've been self-employed. The third column is for documentation you will need if you are applying for a Class B general building contractor license and need to use your own owner-builder experience to meet that experience requirement. Here's the next page of acceptable documentation. Again, you can click on the link to view and print this publication. Here is the final page of acceptable documentation. If you do not have this information readily available, you may want to begin to gather it now. just in case you're asked to provide it in the future. Remember, the whole point is that you are trying to demonstrate 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. CSLB staff may contact the certifier of experience or other parties to verify your experience.
One other note, CSLB gets more than 1,000 applications a month, so our application processing staff has seen it all. They have got 2 pieces of advice. First, don't cut and paste from this presentation. Also, don't try to get around having to take trade tests by applying for multiple subcategories under the C61 limited specialty classification. Okay, that is the content you will need to fill out your application. Before getting into CSLB, double check to make sure you did not miss anything. Be sure to sign and date it as well. And don't forget to include the all-important $330 application fee. You will pay the $200 initial licensing fee after you pass your exam or exams. Then put your application packet in the mail to CSLB and deliver to one of our public counters or hand deliver to one of our public counters. We have got a bonus link at bottom of the screen with our office locations.
Now we're going to be discussing the parts of the application. We have gone through the information you'll need to include, but here's a closer look at the application itself so you can see where it goes exactly. This is section 1, and this is where you're going to list your business name. Remember, when selecting a business name, make sure the name that you have selected is compatible with the classification and the entity that you are applying for, and that it's not misleading. If your business is a corporation or an LLC, you will need to make sure that the names you provide in this section match exactly the business name that you have registered with the Secretary of State. In line number 2 is where you're going to indicate what classification you're applying for. The mailing address and phone number that you list here on line 3A and 3C will be made public on CSLB's website once you are licensed. Here's part 2. In section 2, you will select your business entity. If you are applying for a corporation or an LLC, you will need to provide your registration number provided to you by the Secretary of State in this section here. Make sure to pay extra attention to the instructions in this section pertaining to the entity for which you are applying. Section number 3 is where you will list the qualifier's information. Remember, the qualifier is a person that meets the experience requirements and will be responsible for the direct supervision and control of your construction operations. The qualifier will be the person taking the exams. On line 6, you will list any previous or current license numbers that you've held. You will also need to list the percentage of the new business owned by the qualifier. For example, if you are the only person that will be listed on the license, you would enter 100%. On line number 7, you will need to indicate what position will be held by the qualifier. Each entity has different personnel requirements. You will need to make sure that you have listed all positions, depending on the entity that you are selecting. You can find more information on this on pages 2 through 4 of the application instructions. Line number 8 is where you will sign and date your application. Section number 4 is where you will list the personnel information for all remaining personnel that will be listed on the license. For example, if you are applying for a corporation, you will need to indicate who will be the responsible managing officer or employee, the president, the secretary, and treasurer. Again, more information can be found on page 4 of the application instructions. If you will have more than 4 people on your license, you can make additional copies of this page and include it with your application. For corporations and LLCs, you'll want to make sure that all personnel that are listed with the Secretary of State are listed in this section as well. All personnel that will be listed on the license must sign the application here in this section, section 4. Excuse me. Section number 5 is just it's a series of yes and no questions, so we're not going to cover those here. Section 6 excuse me, You may be granted credit towards your 4-year experience requirement based on your education. Question number 17 asks if you have completed an educational or apprenticeship program. You will need to submit official sealed transcripts if you would like to be considered for this credit. If you attended formal training or have participated in an apprenticeship program, you will need to provide a certificate of completion. Now, you want to get the sealed transcript sent to you, then include it with your application packet. Do not have the program send the transcript directly to CSLB because you don't want to take the chance that we're not able to match it up with your application. So it's best to get it sent to you, sealed, do not open it, and then just send it in with your application packet. That way we can match it up with your application. CSLB may grant you up to 3 years of credit based on your education. This credit is not on a year-to-year basis, meaning if you have a 2-year college degree, you won't necessarily be granted 2 years of credit towards the experience requirement. You may qualify for this credit regardless of when you completed your education. The 10-year time frame does not apply to education. You may also apply for this credit even if your education was received out of the country. If your degree is in any other language other than English, it will need to be translated. Now we're going to discuss the certification of work experience. Part 1 will be filled out by you, the applicant. Here, you will list the information for your employer where you gained your experience. If you were self-employed when you gained your experience, please make sure you mark this box here in line number 2. If you are applying for a B general construction license and will be using experience obtained while working on your own property, make sure to mark the box in line number 4. Part 2 of the certification of work experience must be filled out by the certifier, the person that you choose to certify your work experience. In this section, the certifier must include the dates in which you obtained the experience. They must also select if you were working on a part-time or a full-time basis. Keep in mind, if you were working on a part-time basis, you will receive 50% of credit for that time, which means you will need to provide 8 years of experience within the last 10 years to meet the 4-year requirement. On line number 6, your certifier will need to list the duties that you performed or supervised that are considered critical for the classification that you are applying for. You can read a description of critical duties in CSLB's description of classification booklets available on our website. Do not copy and paste the description from the booklet. This is only to give you an idea of what CSLB considers critical duties for each classification. Your certifier should complete this section in their own words and be as complete and accurate as possible. The final part of the work experience certificate is also to be completed by your certifier. They need to list their relationship to you and provide that contact information. Lastly, they will need to sign and date the certification. The next form we will discuss is the Owner Builder B General Building Construction Project Experience form. This form only needs to be completed if you are applying for the B General Construction License and you want to receive experience credit for working on projects on your own property. A separate form is required for each project on the property. The experience must be verifiable through building permits, final inspections, or other documentation. You will need to list the building permit number on line number 6. On line number 7, you will need to provide the scope of the project. In boxes 8 through 10, you will need to provide more detailed information about the project. Question number 11 asks if other general construction contractors worked on the project and what trades they performed. Remember, this information should be as complete and accurate as possible.
With all the information Anna just covered, this is a good time to remind you that we are recording this workshop. We will post a video on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and rewatch in case there is anything you missed. Okay, so you have got your application submitted. How do you check the status of the application? Here are 2 resources. First is the secure check. You will need your application fee number and contractor PIN number to get an update. We will send you that information after we receive and accept and post your completed application. The second way to check is to look online at our processing times. Each week, we update our website with the date we receive the paperwork for a specific process. So look for the date being worked on and know that date shown is after the date we likely received your paperwork. It's likely we are busy working on your application. So if the date is after that, we most likely have it and busy working on it. As you can imagine, CSLB receives hundreds, if not thousands of documents every day, and we process them in the order they are received. So be sure to take extra time getting the application right so we don't have to send it back to you to correct and then have to start the process again. When your application has been accepted, CSLB will send you a notice to appear for examination and a study guide. You should get your exam notice at least 3 weeks before your exam date. With our test center reopened, which may have to re-shut down after last night's new guidelines, we added an additional session in the late afternoon to early evening to help us catch up with 3 months we were closed. We have got 7 test centers around California. We would encourage you to take your exams at the centers closest to you. Those centers are from north to south: Sacramento, San Jose, Fresno, Oxnard, San Bernardino, Norwalk, and San Diego.
If you're an applicant whose first language isn't English and you don't feel confident taking your exams in English, we do allow you to use a translator. The translator who you provide simply reads your exam questions. Question number 16 on the application asks if you need to use a translator to complete the examination. The translator must be approved by CSLB in advance, so you cannot just show up on the day of your examination to the test center with somebody to translate the exam for you. When you get an exam date, make sure you do not miss it. If you fail to appear for your exam, you will have to pay a non-refundable $60 fee to reschedule. The fee may be waived once if documented evidence of a medical emergency or other circumstance beyond your control. Also, we have study guides available for each of our exams. Included in each study guide, you will find a list of sections and topics covered by each exam. They also include sample questions, how each section of the exam is weighted, and recommended resources that you can use to prepare for the examination beginning now. These study guides are available online on our website. There's a bonus link to them on the bottom of the screen.
Here is a quick look at 2 of those study exams. The first is the law and business exam, which all qualifiers must take, no matter which license classification, including the D series limited classes. You can see the guide contains a breakdown of examination topics, some test strategies, sample questions, and resources that were used to help create the exam. You will see the same format on the B General Building study guide. We would recommend that you really pay attention to the exam content here, especially how we have broken down what percentage of questions there will be on each of the 5 topics on the exam. You will also note on the lower right of both of these slides, you will see bonus links to the actual study guide, as well as a link to the complete list of study guides.
We do have COVID-19 procedures in place for the test centers. Here they are. Plan to arrive at least 15 minutes early for your exam. Give yourself extra time to get checked in. You must wear a face mask or other face covering. If you appear ill, you will have to reschedule your exam for at least 5 days later at no additional charge. And you will not be admitted into the test center more than 15 minutes prior to your exam time. We've also produced a short what to expect on your test day video that you can watch on our YouTube channel. The link is at the bottom of your screen.
You will take your exam on a touchscreen computer. Before starting, you will see an on-screen tutorial that will take you through the process. The exam itself consists of multiple choice questions. You will also see a space on each question where you can, if you want, submit a comment about the question. You will get 3.5 hours to complete each exam. Don't arrive late, or that may reduce the amount of time you get to complete your exam. You will get your results at the end of the exam. If you don't pass the exam, you will not be allowed to review the questions you missed, but you will get a statement showing how you did on each section of the exam. You can reschedule the exam as many times as you need to within the 18-month period, as long as you pay the non-transferable $60 rescheduling fee each time.
Next slide, please. After you pass your exams, what happens next? First, you'll need to pay $200 for your initial licensing fee, which will be good for 2 years. You'll also need to complete an online asbestos open book exam. Plus, you'll need to file your required $15,000 contractor's surety bond, and possibly some other bonds depending on what type of business entity you have selected. You'll need to get your required insurance policy. If you have employees, you'll need to get workers' compensation insurance. If you're going to be an LLC, you'll also need liability insurance. See our website for more information. Please note that your insurance company or broker can submit your insurance information to CSLB directly on our website. If you don't have employees, you must file a workers' compensation exemption with CSLB, and you can do that online as well.
In about 5 to 10 business days, CSLB will send you a wall certificate and plastic pocket license card. Display the wall certificate in your main office or chief place of business. Carry your pocket card with you, especially in situations where you're going to solicit business, talk to potential customers, or sign contracts. We encourage consumers to ask you to see your pocket license. If you're going to have salesperson working for you, be sure to get them registered as a home improvement salesperson with CSLB. Check our website for more on how to do that. Your license will be good for 2 years. It will expire on the last day of the month when it was issued. For example, a license issued today, December 4, 2020, will expire on December 30th, 2022. Be sure to put that expiration date on your calendar, in your phone, anywhere you need so you won't forget it. CSLB will send you a renewal notice in the mail approximately 60 days before it expires, but ultimately it is your responsibility to renew your license on time.
Here are a couple of other important deadlines that you want to keep in mind. First, you want to notify CSLB within 30 days if you move or change your business address. Your renewal notice will be sent to the address of record that we've got on file. If you're not there anymore, you're probably not going to receive it. Plus, the Postal Service will not forward state government mail. Finally, notify CSLB within 30 days of all changes to your personnel on your license, especially when it involves the qualifier of the license.
Once you get your license and get to work, you might want to hire someone as a salesperson to solicit, sell, negotiate home improvement contracts on your behalf outside of your place of business. These people are called home improvement salespersons, or HIS. Without an HIS, the official personnel of record on a license are the only ones that can solicit, sell, negotiate, or execute a contract. That include individual contractors, licensed qualifiers, partners, corporations officers, and LLC responsible managing officers, members, managers, or employees. A home improvement salesperson can work for more than one contractor. The license must notify CSLB in writing when they either associate or disassociate a home improvement salesperson with their license.
There are a couple of exceptions to note. First are those who only schedule appointments for contractors or a registered HIS, and a bona fide service and repair people. These are the folks that you call out for repairs, including things like air conditioning, heating, and plumbing. But those service and repair people are limited to the work that was initially requested by the buyer or the homeowner. For example, if your AC goes out and you call the HVAC company to come out, the service person does not have to be a registered salesperson. But if they go beyond the repair itself and then they sell you a new HVAC system, then they should be a registered HIS or salesperson. Also, don't employ any unregistered salesperson. That subjects you to administrative discipline, and the salesperson might get a citation as well, or possibly even a criminal misdemeanor. We've got a bonus link at the bottom of this page if you want to look at the actual code section of law. Okay, that is our presentation. Now it's time for us to take your questions. Okay, so we have some questions here. First question, under qualifying experience, who or what is a qualifier for the license? Oh, do you want to take that one? What is a qualifier?
What was the question?
Who is a qualifier? What does a qualifier mean on a license application?
Okay, qualifier is the person who's responsible for day-to-day operations, is the person who's on site, observing the work, responsible for the work, is the person who has the experience that will take the exams to become the qualifier.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It says, how about a BS in civil engineering? So we're not going to be able to give you very much more information on your experience, education, as far as how that relates to your experience. We can show you the slide again. Maybe we could put the slide up. The slide will show you, give you an idea of how much experience credit you may receive. It's not on a year-to-year basis. So not because you have a 4-year in civil engineering, does that mean you're going to qualify for the full 3 years of experience credit? It's on a year-to-year, it's not on a year-to-year basis. But this more or less just gives you an idea here. Bachelor of Science, the amount of credit you would qualify for would be 36. Remember, 36 months is the maximum you'll be able to receive. It says, hi there, is it possible to send transcripts directly to CSLB, or do they need to have it sent along with the application? Remember that we want it to be sent with the application only because if you send it directly to CSLB, we may not be able to match it up to your application. So the best thing that you can do is have it mailed to you, and then send it in sealed. Don't open it. You're going to want to send it in sealed with your application. What if you're working with a contractor side by side? I'm assuming you mean, can you get experience for working with a contractor side by side? Yes, and we went over this about how if you're working with a contractor side by side and you are gaining experience, that does qualify as experience towards your license. If I am going to get licenses for multiple specific trades, do I need to take the law and business exam every time or just the first one? You want to answer that one, Fode? It says if he's going from multiple trades, how many times does he have to take the law and business?
The law exam you only take once.
Mm-hmm.
But the trade exam for each classification, it has its own trade, but the law is only once.
For example, if you want to begin with one trade, then you would let us know at the beginning what trade that is. But yes, you can apply for multiple trades. Once you have your license, you can continue to apply for additional classifications. But like Fode mentioned, you wouldn't have to take the business and law again, just the trade. Next question says, how many credits do you get? Again, with the credit for the education, you're going to want to refer to the slide that's up now on our screen. Okay, it says, how many credits do you get if you have a Bachelor of Architecture? So again, for a bachelor degree, the most you could get would be 36 months. But we wouldn't be able to tell you that unless you actually had the transcript in front of us. And so once we receive your transcripts, it's assigned to a technician, they will let you know. It says, apologies, I entered late to the meeting. Will the slides and video be available after the presentation? Yes. We are recording and we do post this on our website, so you will be it will be available for you to review and go back and watch from the beginning. It also has a lot of helpful links that you can click on that will be able to help you. Okay, so it'll be on our website. Again, just a reminder, I'm seeing some chats. If you want to ask a question, you want to make sure that you go into the Q&A section and send it to all panelists. Okay? Not through the chat. You want to go through where it says Q&A. What about a contract manager? I'm not sure what that question was relating to. Does owning, operating a residential and commercial drafting business, sole ownership, let's see. Does owning and operating a residential and commercial drafting business for 15 years count towards experience credit? Fode, what do you think? Just drafting. It's drafting business.
Sorry, would you repeat the question?
Sure. It says, does owning or operating a residential and commercial drafting business? So he's in drafting. Does that count towards experience?
No, the experience is hands-on, construction, a building being built. So drafting, design is not actually considered a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'm coming from Texas. What distinction am I supposed to make exactly about where the relevant experience occurred? So you're going to want to go ahead and when you fill out your work experience certificate, that's the only difference. You're going to put the address where you obtained the experience. It's basically the same form. All you want to do is have the person who is going to certify your work experience explain that what work you did, where you obtained that experience, how long, from what month, day, year to what month, day, year did you work there. And that's the only difference. It's the same process. Who qualifies as a certifier for experience? So who can certify their experience for?
The experience, if you will see anyone who has observed the work being done, the trades, and can attest to it. If you see in the certification of work experience, there is a place over there, it says the relationship between certifier and applicant. All those relationships are acceptable relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically anybody who has knowledge that you have that journeyman level experience. The different categories at the bottom of the page say it could be your employer, but it doesn't have to necessarily be your employer. It can be another contractor, it can be a foreman, a supervisor, a fellow employee. Even if you're part of a union, it could be somebody from a union representative. So there's different categories at the bottom of the certification of work experience you might want to take a look at. It says, if I'm applying for a B and have previously worked as an employee for another company, will I be required to produce the relevant license and inspections? So if you're applying for a B license, the process is going to be the same. We need somebody who is willing to certify, saying that you have 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. So it doesn't have to be the company where you worked for. So no, we wouldn't necessarily require that information, but somebody who knows that you have journeyman level experience, and we're looking for 4 years within the last 10. Will I have to pay the $330 fee each time for a specialty license, or just $200 after the initial one? So as far as the fee for the first time you apply, you will pay the initial licensing fee. If you want to add additional classifications, there's a separate form. The additional classification fee right now is $150 per classification that you wish to add. So it's a different form, it's a different application, but it's not the full amount. No, it would be $150. And then at time of renewal, it's one renewal fee for the whole license, because the different classifications are added to the license. So you wouldn't have to pay individually at all. No. How long is the license good for? And what are the fees associated with renewals? How long is a license good for, folks?
2 years. The initial is for 2 years.
Correct. So you Go ahead. You apply and it's good for 2 years.
Yeah, let's say you get it today. Your license is issued today, December 4, 2020. That license is good until December 31st, 2022, end of the month that was issued.
Mm-hmm. And what's the renewal fee? You know?
Renewal fee, I have to check that one currently. I believe it's about $540. I check for that and let you know.
Yeah, we could check. It's on our website. That information is on our website, and you pay that as long as you pay that on time. You pay every 2 years, then your license will stay in good standing. You want to make sure you don't let your license lapse.
Correct.
Good afternoon. Quick question. What is the correct certification for sanitizing and disinfecting? So we have different classifications. What you're going to want to do is we have a classification booklet. And what it does, it gives you a description of what you can do with every license. There was a link in our presentation, but you can also look on our website. So you're going to want to refer to our website, look for the description of classifications, and it will let you know what functions you can do with every classification that we offer. What officers does a foreign corporation need to list?
That would be president, secretary, and treasurer.
Okay, thank you. For Section 4 of the application, if applying as a sole ownership at 100% ownership by qualifier, can we cross out Section 4 completion of application, or should we write NA all over? Section 4, let me see.
You don't even have to submit that second page. If there is only 1% sole ownership, that there will be on the first page, and you wouldn't need the personnel page. But if you want to submit, you can cross out, put NA, but you don't really need to submit it if it's sole owner and 1% on the license.
Thank you. I work in multiple projects with multiple companies throughout the year. Do I need to state all of the companies? No. What we're looking for is somebody who can certify you for 4 years. Sometimes one person can certify your 4 years of experience, but sometimes you don't have one person that can certify the 4 years. So let's say one person can certify 2 years. What you would need to do is make a copy of the certification form and have another person certify you for an additional 2 years. So what we're looking for is 4 years within the last 10. If the bachelor degree was received outside of the U.S. in another language, does it need to be translated? Yes, we mentioned that. Yes, the transcripts would have to be.
I have to add one thing here. They actually translated and evaluated. There are accredited institutes in the United States. They have to be evaluated as well. So translated and evaluated.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. How many questions are on the test? So it varies. Each test has a different amount of questions. It could range. It ranges. They're all different. About 100, anywhere from 100 to 120 questions. And you're given 3.5 hours per examination. If you don't need the full 3.5 hours, let's say you start with a business and law and you finish early, you can go right into your trade exam. But if you want to take a little break, you can. Yes, but each one varies. And like Fode mentioned during our workshop, you will know at the end of the day. They won't tell you exactly what the correct answers were, but they will give you a printout to let you know what you should brush up on or what you need to study for the next exam. What does a General B license encompass? What can they do with a General B license? You want to answer that one, Fode?
Sure. General B is the main part of General B is framing structural work. But you have to at least the contract to at least 2 other trades, unrelated trades. So you guys can do framing as long as 2 other trades. For example, the project has plumbing and electrical. You can take those kind of work. Framing is not counted as part of it. So as long as the project has 2 unrelated works that are not to the framing, you can do that work. Framing, you don't need any other trades. If you can get the contract just for the framing with your B. And also, if you get a bid for a single trade, you actually have to sub that one out to someone who has that classification. You can't do it yourself. You can bid on it, but you have to sub it out.
Next question, where can we download the presentation? So there was a link. You can go to our website, www.cslb.ca.gov, and there will be a link to where you can view this presentation. And we also have done some in the past, so you can definitely view those as well for months past. What is the score to pass the General B exam? So there's different scores. Usually it's like a 70% is required to pass, so you don't have to get 100%. It's about a 70%. They'll let you know on the day of the exam, depending on which exam you're taking. But yeah, usually it's about 70%. What officers does a foreign corp? Okay, so we answered that one already. I'm trying to get my C20 license. Can I also do residential electrical with a C20? Code, can they do residential electrical with a C20?
No, you can only do the electric part that is, part of, the C20 work you do. But any outside of that, no, you can get a, wire like from the control panel to your system. But doing the, rewiring the house and other electrical work, no.
Mm-hmm. Would a final home inspection upon sale of a home work towards verifying work completed by owner builder? No, unfortunately, a home inspection would not qualify as documentation for the owner builder. We would need a permit because the home inspection doesn't tell us who did the work. Anybody could have done that work. But if you have a permit, that's the information that we're looking for. Are the requirements the same for a painter's license? Yes, the requirements are the same regardless of what license you are applying for. How many credits do you get if you have a bachelor's of architecture if the bachelor degree was received outside of the US? Okay, so we've answered that question. Again, we have the slide up. You can see you can get up to 36 months. And yes, we mentioned it has to be translated. And did you say verified? Evaluated. What study material would you recommend for the business and law exam? So the best information that we can give you is that you'd want to look at our law book, and you can read it completely free of charge on our website. The first 200 pages are question and answers, and they're very helpful information. If you wanted to purchase a book and actually have the actual physical book, you can also do that, and you can do that on our website as well. But you can read it completely free right on our website. You'll want to go to the study guides section. We mentioned we have study guides for each and every exam. We have one for the law and business, and if you look on there, it will tell you what other references we recommend that you study. If the corporation and qualifier is out of the state, do they have to travel to California during COVID, or is there a way to take the test remotely? Oh, do you know?
No, there is unfortunately no way of taking the test remotely, but you will have 18 months to pass the test. So I would recommend just, wait until it's normalized and maybe take it at that time. But at this time, unfortunately, you have to be present to take the test.
Thank you. Where we are an environmental response company and do hazmat emergency response, mainly excavating hazardous waste removal. What classification would I need? Again, go ahead, Fred, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I mean, we have to see the experience itself, like A, C12, some of these classifications that work with dirt, they could apply for hazardous certificate. So you have to hold one of those classification and also a hazardous certificate to be able to do the work that they're describing here.
Mm-hmm. And again, we want to refer you to our description of classification that you can review on our website, and it will let you know what type of work you can do with each classification that we offer. I have the experience in finished carpentry and I am self-employed. If the people I have done jobs for write a letter stating the work I have done for them, will that be sufficient to prove my work experience? You want to take that one?
Yes, sure. We may have to call them, get some information from them, verbally verifying the information. But yes, we will consider that.
But initially, what we need is the experience certification, right? Somebody needs to complete that certification initially. We wouldn't need those letters unless they were requested, correct?
Well, actually, it would be best if they can certify them, just put them on the certification of work experience. If there's for any period it is, if instead of writing a letter, they can just complete the certification of work experience for that period for them. But yes, none of this will be submitted in lieu of the work experience certification form. We definitely need that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I need a contractor's license and DIR number to sanitize and disinfect a school district. What is the correct certification? So we talked a little bit about the classification for the sanitizing and disinfecting. We would have to see what you qualify for. The DIR number is something that you're going to have to contact them for. That's they would be the ones to give you that certification number. What is the typical processing time once an application is received by CSLB? So right now on our website, we do have processing times available. If you are interested, you can see what date we work on, receive date. It'll let you know what date we're working on. Because of COVID, it varies because some people, their fingerprint information comes back right away. Others take a little bit longer. So it just varies, but you can go on our website and look at our processing times. It says, I will fill out part 1 of the certification of work experience and hand it to my employer to fill out part 2. Will that sheet of paper be submitted by my employer directly to CSLB or have it returned to me to submit along with my application? So you want to make sure that you submit it with your application. You want to submit an application package together because if not, we're going to have a hard time matching it up. So you can hand it to that person, have them fill it out, sign it, provide their contact information, give it back to you, and you mail it in with your application and your fee. Who can demonstrate my work experience? Licensed contractor or not licensed? You want to take that one, Phil?
Preferably licensed contractor, but as we said, whoever observed your work physically, they can attest to it.
Yeah. It says certification of work experience. I have to fill this out for every employer I've worked for? No. What you're going to do is you're going to select one person to be the person who's going to certify your work experience. One person that knows that you have journeyman level experience 4 years within the last 10 years. You fill out section number 1. They're going to fill out section number 2, saying what work, what your experience is, what projects you have performed. Is a landscaping contractor licensed to build a swimming pool as part of a landscape project? Code?
No, you have to hold C53 or you have to sub it out to someone who holds the C53 swimming pool.
Mm-hmm. Can work experience be counted if I was not paid as an employee, but instead paid as an independent contractor to my existing corporation?
Let's be counted if it was not paid.
Not paid experience. Does it count?
Right. One should be counted if I was. Again, this one is case to case. We have to see who did the work. So I can't tell you, that exactly specifically until I see, who done the work.
We'd have to look at your certification, but yes, it doesn't have to be paid experience. Even if you were an independent contractor, we would just have to. It's what kind of work did you do? That's what we want to look at.
Exactly.
I want to get a license for painting, drywall, flooring, and possibly some carpentry. Is that the general B or specialty licenses? So at this time, our general B has a requirement that you have the structural framing experience. So if you want to qualify for the B license, you would have to prove that you have structural framing. The good news is that we are working on a new classification. It was approved by the governor, so we are going to be moving forward with a new remodeling classification. And that would include the duties that you have mentioned, painting, drywall, flooring, all of that would be under the new classification. So you want to, look on our website, see if any new information comes forward. We are working on that classification. It's not in existence just yet, but we have received approval to move forward with that. How do you qualify for an exam waiver? You want to take that one, Boone? How do you qualify for an exam waiver?
Sure. The exam waiver, if you already hold the classification, that's exam waiver. If you see other provisions in the law book that you think you qualify for, again, I suggest you go look at all those 7065.1 regulations. Talks all about the waivers and whatnot. Just look at that, see if you qualify, and then you can submit your request, submit a letter with your application for request. We will review it, and if you are qualified, we will grant it.
As an owner, do I have to get my salesperson license? No. If you are the owner and you are on the license, you hold the license, you do not need a salesperson registration. That would only be for people who are not on the license. What is the correct certification for sanitary? Okay, we answered that question. If I am self-employed, how can I show experience or qualification for the D35 license? So we mentioned that a little bit. We had those handouts. We do have handouts that we provided the link for. What is it that we're looking for exactly? You would need to have somebody certify your work experience, again, 4 years within the last 10 years. And then if CSLB requested additional documentation, we have that acceptable documentation list that you'd want to refer to. The middle section, the middle list section is for self-employed. If my 4 years of experience is from multiple contractors, do I need multiple certifications? Yes. You would need, let's say you have people who can only certify 1 year of experience, then you would need 4. Just keep on making copies. What we're looking for is 48 months. So make sure that you have 48 non-overlapping months, and then we would consider that. I am transitioning into construction. I have a doctorate in education, not in business, not in law. Would I get any credit for education? Oh, the BA is in education.
Yeah, still, we have to see it. You get some, but again, I have to see it. A doctorate in education, you will get some, but I can't tell you how much.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many questions are on the C33 painter's test? How many are we allowed to miss to pass? So that information varies per examination. We give you a ballpark anywhere between 100 to 120 questions, and to pass is roughly about 70%. So that is roughly the amount on each of our examinations. But you will get more information once you are closer to your testing. And once you take the exam, they will let you know what your percentage was. How long credit for builder owner per house? It depends. On that form that you're going to fill out, you're going to tell us when you started the project, when you ended the project. We want to see permits, as well as when inspections took place, how long did it take, things of that nature. So it's not one we don't have one answer for that. We would have to look at the form and the permits that you provide. I have college credits and not till transcript only. Copy from Sierra College. Will this work? No, it has to be sealed. So you would have to request sealed transcripts mailed to you, and then you would want to include that with your application. If you are an officer on a corporate license and want to apply for an individual license, what application process is for that? What will be the application? So if they're on a corporation, they want to get their own license, what do they have to do?
If they have a corporation, they want to get their own license, they submit application for original contractor license. If you have the classification already, you submit application for original license, exam, waiver 7065. So again, depends on whether you have to take exam or not. That's you choose the application you're going to submit.
Okay, thank you. Is there a phone number we can call to ask specific questions regarding our transcript requirements? Unfortunately, no. We do have an 800 number that you can call. However, they're not going to be able to give you specific information on your transcript. So we don't have the staff for that, unfortunately. It's going to be once we have your actual application, you submit your transcripts, it will be assigned to a technician and they will be able to give you more information. But unfortunately, our staff that mans the 800 number is not going to be able to answer specific questions. What is the required bond amount for a corporation once the application is approved? Can I take that one, please?
Yeah, there is a $15,000 contractor bond for the corporations. And if it is qualified by a responsible managing employee, which holds 0%, that they also need a $12,500 qualifying individual bond. Otherwise, they only need $50,000 contractor bond.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Do I need a transcript of high school for applying for a license? I graduated high school in another country. No, we don't need proof of high school. You wouldn't receive any credit for high school anyway. So no transcripts needed for high school. Only $150 for each. I was worried it was going to cost me thousands to get many specialties. No, $150 for additional classification. That's the fee for additional classifications, and you can have as many classifications added to your license as you can prove the experience for. Is there any specific study guides you recommend that are online, or is it worth the $400 study guides available online? So the study guides that we provide are free. They're on our website. So if you go to our website, in the search engine, just put study guides, and then you're going to want to print the one for the business and law. Everybody takes a business and law, and then for the trade exam that you plan on taking. And we kind of covered the information that's on there. Basically, the study guides, it provides brief information. It tells you what you can expect on test day. It gives you a couple of test strategies. It gives you a couple sample questions. And then on the back, it gives you resources, books that you can start, websites you can start checking out now. You can go to the library, check out these books so that you can prepare for the examination. They're completely free, and it's the only thing that we recommend. I know that there are schools out there that offer different study guides, and that would be up to you, but it's not a requirement. There is no educational requirement to get your license. Hi, if a person is licensed with C36 plumbing, does this give any credit? I'm not sure what that question means. If you have a plumbing license and you're trying to get a different classification added to your license, you would have to prove the experience in the additional classification. We are a manufacturer supplying product to installers. They are all licensed installers. Okay. Rodney, if you're still with us, that's the only part I don't see the question part. It says we're a manufacturer supplying product to installers. They are all licensed installers. I don't know what the question is. When asked to provide proof of experience, can we show our type of proof from the list shown earlier, or will we be asked specifically what kind of proof to show? So if we contact you to let you know that we need additional documentation from you, you can provide anything from that list. We will take any information from that list. So if you can begin gathering that now, just in case you are selected, we absolutely do recommend that. The GCs are wanting us to have, okay, this is Ronnie's question. The GCs are wanting us to have a license. As I manage the installations and provide direction from the installs. That's it, Ronnie. I'm sorry, Ronnie, we're having a problem getting your full question. If the work experience on an application is considered inadequate or too vague, does it get sent back for clarification or is it rejected? Does it put the application back to the beginning of the process time-wise? Fo, do you want to take that on?
We will send it, we don't, reject it, or we just send it back to you. We give you 90 days to provide the corrections and send it back to us. And once we get it back, we process it usually within 5 business days. It doesn't go back in the queue, but the technician that is working on it, they have, they process return documents as received. So there is still a waiting time, but it doesn't go back in the queue to the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Again, the question about the high school, we don't need your high school transcripts.
No, we don't.
Okay. Excuse me for bringing this up again, but is credit maximum 36 month and work experience separate requirements? Okay, so the work experience requirement is 48 months. That's what we were looking for, 48 months of experience. What we mentioned is you can get credit for your education that will go towards the 48. So it's the same credit. We're trying to get 4 years within the last 10 years. So if you have some education and you're able to provide proof, you're able to get us a transcript, you can receive up to 36 months. But like we mentioned, it's not on a year-to-year basis, and we can't tell you how much education, your credit you're going to receive, but that will help you to meet the 48-month requirement. Okay. Do all 14 months of experience have to be related to your C specialty, or does also general experience apply? For example, I have framing experience, but want to get a swimming pool contractor license. So we're looking for 4 years of experience in the classification that you are applying for. So if you wanted to get your swimming pool license, we're looking for 4 years. Fo, do you have anything to add to
that? So this is the one about does all 48 months experience have to be related to your C specialty? Is that the question?
That's the one, yeah.
What's that?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay. So apply, for example, I'm framing experience, want to get a swimming pool contractor license. No, it has to be 48 months, has to be on that trade, that the classification that you're applying for. So yeah, if you're going for a swimming pool, you have to have 48 months of experience building swimming pools.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It says, the next one, can I have to be certified by realtor or broker or constructor only? Do I have to be W-2 employee worker for them? Will you require documents? Okay, I believe what you're saying is who can certify your experience. We mentioned that at the bottom of the certification form, it gives you a list of who can certify your experience. It doesn't have to be a realtor or a broker. It has to be somebody who has experience, knowledge that you have journeyman level experience and that is willing to work with CSLB, willing to talk to us. Yes, sometimes additional documentation will be required. We mentioned that as well. Can I use a framing experience as well? Framing experience, I'm assuming you mean for the B license? Yes, framing experience will help you obtain the B license. What's the process for transferring the license from sole ownership to a corporation or an LLC once it's created? If you want to change a license from a sole ownership to a corporation, you would have to apply. You would have to reapply. You wouldn't have to take the examinations if it's in the same classification, but you would have to reapply for the license to switch it to a corporation.
Yeah,
If
the
I
waiver.
use, go ahead. It would be the waiver exam, correct? You wouldn't have to take the exam.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
If I have used my MBA degree to get the C33 5 years ago, and now want to apply for the General B, will he be able to use his degree again, folks?
Yes, you can use your education every time you apply for a classification.
If I am self-employed, how can I show experience or qualifications for the D35 license? So we kind of mentioned that we have the additional documentation form. If we were to solicit more information from you, you'd want to refer to that form. But the experience is the same. You want to have somebody who can certify your experience 4 years within the last 10 years that can complete the certification of work experience form for you. It's the same process as all license classifications. Can the exams be taken at a testing center outside of California? We answered that already. No, unfortunately, at this time, you would have to come, the qualifier would have to come to California to take the examination. When asked to provide proof of experience, can we show proof from the list given earlier of our choice? Yes, you can. You can choose which ones you're going to provide. How long is the wait time for an application to be approved? Again, we mentioned there are we have processing times on our website, so you can go to our website now. Looked like my question got skipped. Should I retype them? We have more than 100 questions here, so we're going through them as fast as we can. We may get to yours in just a little bit. I'm not sure if they're there or not. Would you accept transcripts and evaluation of transcripts obtained to apply for the architectural license?
Sure.
You would want to just send it in.
As long as it shows you have the equivalency in the United States, yes, that's fine.
Are both exams, law and trade, scheduled for the same day, 3.5 hours for each?
Yes.
They are. One scheduled, I think one scheduled like at 8, and then the next one, they do give you a little break in between, and then the next one scheduled that same afternoon. If you get there and, after your business and law, you tell them, hey, I'm burnt out. I just want to take this one today. You can reschedule. There's a $60 rescheduling fee, but you can come back to take the other. Okay. If I have a company, an RMO with a General B with more than 20% ownership, when I would be able to apply for the company to have its own General B license?
So if I have my company or a movie, okay, once you gain the 4 years experience, again, so if there, once 4 years experience is complete, then you can apply for your own. Or the RMO or so.
As long as you prove the 4 years, then you're good.
What's that?
They just have to prove the 4 years on their own, correct? If
Yes.
that person, the RMO leaves.
Yes, yes.
I have a Class B and want to acquire a Class A. Must I take both exams?
No, you don't have to take the law, only the trade.
Correct. Okay. I have a realtor license. I've taken courses in real estate law, real estate business, and ethics. What credit might I get for these courses? We wouldn't be able to tell you until you sent in the actual certification or the completion certificates to see if there was anything that they would be granting you. Do you have anything to add to that, folks? She says she's taken real estate law classes, real estate business classes, and ethics classes.
I have to see it, but I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We are a manufacturer and have licensed subs installing our products. The GCs are wanting us to have a license to manage our installers. My role is to organize products and guide installers at job sites. I've won this for 10 years. And then it gets, and does this qualify as experience? And do we need a license? Let's see. We are a manufacturer and have licensed subs installing our products. The GCs are wanting us to have a license to manage. My role is to organize products and guide installers at the job sites. It sounds like if they're wanting you to, if you're managing projects, yes, you're going to need to get a license. And it sounds like they're wanting you to have a license. So if you're a project manager, yes, you would be required to have a license. How can I get CSLB fingerprint cards for out-of-state hard card fingerprints? Photos get mailed out to them, correct? If they're from out of state. Instead of doing the live scan, if they're from out of state, they get the hard card fingerprints mailed to them, correct? Those would be mailed to you.
Yeah, if they're out of the state, they get fingerprint cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they have to mail it in with the fee. We will send it to FBI and DOJ and take some time to get back.
Mm-hmm. Next question. If you travel to California to get your fingerprints, can you take the exam the next day? What I would recommend that if you're traveling to California to take your exam, then you can take your live scan. You don't need an appointment for the live scan. You would need an appointment for your exam. So wait till you get your exam date, and then if you're going to be traveling to California anyways, you can get your live scan the same day or the next day. We're just getting a lot of repeat questions. Can a non-resident alien with an I-10 be an owner and qualifier? Yes, we take I-10 numbers. You do not have to provide a social security number. If you have an I-10 number, you are able to apply for a license. Is a license required for a pressure washing business? If so, which license is required for residential and commercial? You want to take that one, folks?
For the pressure washing?
Pressure washing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be a D38. It's a sand and water blasting contractor.
Mm-hmm.
This seat is called C61/D38.
And the good thing with that is that you would only take the law and business. You wouldn't have to take a trade exam.
You only take the law, correct? Mm-hmm. For the D classes.
Yes. What type of credit is needed for a contractor's license? The credit examples currently posted are a requirement or just work experience would work. I'm not sure what you're asking. If you, what we're looking for is for the certifier to let us know what duties you have performed. And we're looking for 4 years within the last 10 years, and they want to be very specific to what critical duties you performed. If you want to know what CSLB considers critical duties, you're going to want to refer back to our classification booklet, and that's where we list our critical duties. And so if you're reading that description and you say, hey, I've done all of this, you're going to want to make sure to include that information. Do not copy it word for word, but you do want to include what you have done. Okay? I have a Class B and want to acquire a Class A. Must I take both exams? No, just the trade exam. A lot of repeat questions, I think. Can anybody certify my work if I am self-employed to get a B license? Anybody who meets those categories on the work certificate itself, work experience certificate at the bottom, there are some categories. Anybody who fits in those categories, yes, can certify your experience. It doesn't have to be somebody that you've worked for. Are pay stubs qualifiable for work experience? Oh, pay stubs, will you take pay stubs?
It says, what was that? What was the question?
Would pay stubs qualify for work experience?
Yes. But again, we need the certification of work experience. I wouldn't recommend you say your pay stubs. Just wait until we see the work experience. If we need it, we will ask you. But certification of work experience is the main thing you have to send in with your application.
If I apply for my C20 now, would I have to wait until June to take the test due to COVID? So you can apply now. We will send you a test date for our next available test dates. Today our test sites are open. We don't know when that's subject to change. So, it could be changing. But as of right now, we don't know if June is going to be the next available test date. So we wouldn't be able to answer that one. Hi, can a general B license bid on asbestos projects without holding the C22?
You have to hold asbestos certificate. So when you have your general B, you apply for asbestos certificate. Once you have your asbestos certificate, then you can bid for asbestos projects that come in with your project. When you're doing a B project, the things come up, you can bid on it, but you cannot actually perform the work until you get your DOSH registration.
I'm looking to apply for C39 and I have all of the experience as a journeyman level. Don't quite understand if I need to have the credit as well. Can you guys explain this a bit? If you are applying for a C39 or roofing license and you have over 4 years of experience at a journeyman level, then you need nothing else. That's all you need. You need somebody to certify that experience. They need to complete the certification of work experience. That's the first step. You want to submit your application, submit that, and then we will contact you with any further information. But that's all you need. It's 4 years within the last 10 years. I am looking for a Class C license. I print and install wall coverings and window film. I have subcontracted the labor for years, but now the GCs are requiring bidders to have their own license. I do not see the specific C class subsets. Please help. So for wall coverings, window film, do you have any information on that one, John?
Yeah, that would be the D29, is C61 D29, like paper hanging.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So you can apply for that one there. It's a
and also you may look at the D52 for window coverings. Mm-hmm. So those are the classification you want to look at, but they are both a specialty classification which only require law.
Okay. What if you have the experience, but the contractor won't sign you off? How can your experience be proven? So we mentioned that the experience does not have to be signed off by the contractor that you are working for. It has to be signed off by somebody who knows that you have journeyman level experience. If you're part of a union, it can be somebody from the union. If you have a fellow employee who is willing to fill out your certification form, we will look at that as well. So it does not have to be the contractor that you work for. Is the transcript review part of the actual license application, or can I have my transcripts reviewed separately from the application? No, unfortunately, we do not have the staff to review the transcripts without you filing an application. You would have to first file your application, send in your transcripts, and then they will let you know how much credit you're going to get for those transcripts, and then you would need to prove the actual hands-on. If I worked for an employer in the past who passed away, would I be able to renew his C20? Or do I need to apply for my own?
Oh, you have to apply for your own, for sure.
Yes. Yes, you would have to apply for your own. How often are the classes given in Fresno to take a test? So we don't give classes. I don't know if you mean the test, but the test is given daily, but we don't provide classes. What is the new classification number or letter to be looking out for that info? The new remodeling license, I believe, is going to be C1. Is that what you've heard from? C1? The remodel class?
I have B. I heard B2. So
Okay, so be
It's
on
in the
the
work. It's in the work. Yeah, just be patient. Soon we will have the information.
yeah, it's going to be, I'm sure when it comes out, it's going to be all over our website. So you want to make sure just to look out, and it's going to be a remodeling classification. So that information will be available. On your website, there is no study guide for the C61. Is no exam required? That is correct. For the C61, there is no exam required. If you're interested, he says he's interested in the D35. There is no exam. You would have to take the business and law, so make sure you print that one. You would just come in for the one examination. No exam for the D35. I have a specialty subcontractor license in another state for over 3 years, concrete and framing. Also have numerous completed college courses, but no degree. Would that be a candidate for a test waiver? I'm seeking a general contractor license. So actually the test waiver, as we kind of mentioned, is only if you already hold a license for the same classification that you're going for. Like we mentioned, if somebody's already has a corporation license and they want to go to a sole ownership, they would qualify for the waiver. The waiver is not given based on the experience that you have or the college courses you've taken. You would still have to take the exam. You would still have to apply for the regular license. Anything
Correct.
to add to that, folks? Okay.
No, correct. That's it. That's accurate.
Do you need 4 years of experience in each category you're applying for, or a total of 4 years of general experience? And take that one, folks.
Each classification requires 4 years of experience. Now, plumbing, for example, all the trades related to plumbing, you need 4 years of that. And if you have done other work, you want to get an additional classification, let's say for C20, then you have to have complete 4 years for that. It's only B that we need 4 years of all combined together, framing, plumbing, concrete, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Next question says, does a Class A general engineering license cover all classifications? No, not necessarily. You're going to want to read our description of classifications to see what you can do exactly with a Class A. It's our general engineering license, but no, it doesn't cover all of the classifications. If I have a BS, worked as asbestos contractor for 1.5 years, and had certified asbestos contractor for 1 year, would this qualify me to sit for the exam? So he has a bachelor's. Has hands-on experience for 1.5 years, and he's also taken other courses. Certified asbestos contractor. Flo, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, for the education, we give you whatever it gives you the highest. So we don't, you don't accumulate for different, classes or different certificates you get. We give you the highest that we can. And then after that, we look at the experience. So you have 1.5 year experience. Again, I can't tell you exactly how much you get for your BS. But yeah, we give you for your BS, which I'm sure is going to give you more than for your certificate. And then we go from there. Again, I can't tell you, but we count 1.5 years of work based on what you said here and whatever you get for your bachelor degree, which is more than your certificate.
Right. Okay. It says, what is the minimum requirement for credit when you're trying to obtain a license? So there is no requirement for education requirement. It's only if you happen to have the education, you can obtain credit, but you don't have to. What we're looking for is 4 years of experience within the last 10 years. And if that's hands-on experience, that's great. That qualifies you. This is just another avenue people can use to meet the 4 years. Hi, I'm self-employed licensed for more than 20 years. Want to apply for my B license. Does this give me any credit towards the 48 months of experience? So if you want to apply for the B license, you would have to have the structural framing. That is part of the requirement. So if you have structural framing and you have other trades that would help you meet the B, then we would encourage that. But if you only have plumbing experience at the time, no, that wouldn't qualify you for the B. We are looking for structural framing experience.
Correct.
For a B licensed person, does a certifier have to be a contractor? No, we mentioned that it does not have to be. Somebody who has built cabins and tree houses, mother-in-law quarters, and permanent subdwellings, would that classify as a handyman, a subcontractor, or a general? How about just a business license? So the business license is something that you would have to go to the city or the county to get. We don't do business licenses. I'm not sure what type of work you were doing at these cabins and tree houses, mother-in-law add-ons. It looks like the question got cut off. But if you, depending on the work that you did, it could help qualify you for a contractor's license. We would just need more information. What if the owner-builder experience is mainly painting, which doesn't require a permit? How do we use that experience? No, if you were trying to get a painting license, you wouldn't use the owner-builder experience. That's only if you're trying to get a B general building license. That's when we would use that one. Can a general B license bid on asbestos project? Oh, we already answered that one. If I'm trying to do only kitchen and bathroom remodeling, does the new remodeling license cover cabinets, counters, plumbing? And will the new classification be available to apply for? So yes, we just received approval within the last month. So we're still working on it. It's going to be coming up. You'll receive more information from our website, I'm sure. Yes, and those are exactly the items that would be covered, the duties that would be covered with that new remodel license. I have a small compact tractor. I only do surface level yard work, such as mow grass, sprinkler trenching, weed abatement. Can a C27 landscaper contractor license cover that type of work? Bo, do you want to take that one?
Well, it can cover that kind of work, but you cannot use that experience for a C27 qualification. This is just like, yeah, lawn maintenance. We need more, irrigations, sprinklers, like ornament, fountains, things that, actually you build, install, and add to the landscape. Yep.
Okay. Does the translator for the exam have to be a professional, or can it be a relative or a friend? It can be any person of your choosing. You just need to let us know ahead of time. Question number 16 asks if you would like to use a translator. You'll hit yes, and then we will send you an application that person needs to fill out. Just a couple of questions. It's an easy form that they need to fill out before coming in and get them approved. But yes, it could be your friend. It could be a relative. It doesn't matter. It's somebody of your choosing. Okay, so that's all the time that we have for answering questions. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the presentation. Thank you for all of your questions. If you have any other questions about your application, we encourage you to send an email to our licensing division. That email is licensing@cslb.ca.gov. Again, licensing@cslb.ca.gov. If at some point you need to reschedule your exam, you can get that process started by dropping an email to exams@cslb.ca.gov. We've also put together a list of available resources for women who are considering a career in construction. If you haven't already, be sure to download this presentation to get them. You can download this presentation on a green banner on the top of our homepage, www.cslb.ca.gov. So again, go to our homepage, www.cslb.ca.gov, and there's a green banner at the top of the page where you can download this presentation. If you're watching the archived video of this workshop on our YouTube page, you'll find the link to the presentation down below.
That concludes today's workshop. An archived version will be placed on CSLB's YouTube channel. We welcome your comments or topics for future webcasts. Just drop us an email to social@cslb.ca.gov. A special thanks to our licensing division and public affairs office for their help on this workshop. The Get Licensed to Build workshop is a copyrighted production of the California Contractors State Licensing Board. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.